Hello and welcome to the One United podcast. I'm joined as ever by Hennes today, I suppose. Hennes, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And it's brilliant to be joined by Henry again. Obviously, some difficult circumstances meant you couldn't come on last time, so it's great to see you again, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. And again, thank you for having me on, and apologies for the misfortunes of myself last time.
No worries. It happens. It happens. So we'll move into the first thing. Then we obviously need to talk about the weekend. It's a good win. I think that's fair to say. 3-1 away to Everton, who were table toppers just a couple of weeks ago. Now, Hennes, I'll come to you first. What's your initial reaction to the game?
To be honest, yeah, I'm pleased with the result. I know I said before that I didn't think we'd win, but I'm pleased with the result. And whenever Solskjaer's under pressure, he seems to pull out a result from somewhere. So yeah, I can't be disappointed with a 3-1 win. I mean, and we look really good. Apart from obviously they scored first, and then everyone's thinking, oh god, here we go again. But no, we performed really well. The midfield was good. Just need to back it up with a result now. Can't go and lose a couple of games now. We just got to back it up and go on a good run of form.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. A lot of fans are thinking is that it's all well and good. We've had good games so far this season, but it's that inability to back up results later on in the season that's really costing us. Now, Henry, do you think we'll kick on from this result, or do you think it's just going to be a case of the Leipzig game?
I don't know, really. It's tough to say. I feel like we've been in this sort of exact position so many times. Even when I came on here a few weeks ago after PSG, and I was sat there saying, we've just watched another brilliant reaction performance from an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer United side, and there was that belief that we could kick on. And I feel like there's so many examples of that over the past couple of years since Ole came in, where we've had a couple of tough games, some tough times, and we sort of pull it out the hat, pull the rabbit out the hat, so to speak. And we've done that again here against Everton. Another brilliant performance. I mean, you've got to give credit to nearly all the boys who were out there. It was a hell of a performance. Cavani obviously coming on and getting his goal was brilliant. Fred was absolutely brilliant as well. Harry Maguire was fantastic, and obviously Bruno Fernandes being the man that we know now and expect to see, popping up with massive goal contributions. But yeah, no, it's really tough to say. I feel like we've been in this position so many times, and obviously we all got that hope that we can kick on and start to get some results together. I know we've got a decent little run now in West Brom at home, and then I think it's Istanbul again, isn't it? At Old Trafford as well. So yeah, you'd hope that we can string some results together, but I feel like we've been here before.
Now, Hennes, I'll build on what Henry just said there about this on paper, what should be a good little run for us, but we this season and last, we've really struggled against the lesser teams. So do you think this is a good run for the team, or could we have done with another sort of run of big games? You're on mute, mate. There you go.
Yeah. It said you muted me for some reason. Anyway, basically, I'm a bit I'm a bit concerned because we never seem to win these important games. These are the more important games for me because, we can beat top six sides and that's fine, but we can beat them by counter-attacking. We've got to prove something different this time because I'm fed up of seeing all the same crap when we can't break down low block teams. I mean, Everton weren't particularly low block. I mean, the space in behind, and then you got Jordan Pickford trying to karate kick Maguire. It's just a complete disaster that for them. That defense was just a mess. So, but we played well. But we've got to break teams down, and we've got to find a way to do it because we can't go into the same situation in 2 games' time talking about sacking the manager again because we go round in circles. Then he saves his job, and then we just go back to square one. So it's got to be win after win after win, and the sides coming up are no easy task. No Premier League side is an easy game, whether it's West Brom or whoever, West Ham or I don't know, whoever in the table. It's no easy game. So we've just got to figure out a way though to start winning these games against the lower teams because we've proven we can do it against the big sides. It should be the other way around really, but yeah, anyway.
Spot on, I think there, mate. Now, we spoke about the manager and how he needs to sort of prove himself against teams that just play a low block. Now, Henry, I know I'm fairly confident in saying you're still a big Mourinho fan, and we've got a comment in here which is pretty well, it gives us something to think about anyway. It's saying Jose doing well with Spurs and we sacked him. Can't believe it. Now, do you think this was a mistake, that sacking Jose and bringing in Ole, or do you think, time's shown that it's been a good decision?
I think the times have sort of exposed the Glazers even more, and I think that comment sort of alludes to that, in that Jose is doing a magnificent job at Spurs. There's no debate about that. I don't think he's doing a good job, and Daniel Levy's given a decent amount of back in there as well, and you're seeing the fruits of that labour. Tommy, in the comments there. I'm off my train of thought now. Cheers for putting that on the screen, James, by the way. But oh God, where was I?
Talking about Mourinho and the Glazers.
Yeah. So Jose's doing well with Spurs. And as I say, backed by Daniel Levy, obviously wasn't greatly backed by the Glazers, and it wasn't the sort of the thing we wanted to see. I think everyone who even had doubts about Mourinho and his style of play would say that there's no doubt that you can argue with his pedigree and how good a manager he is. And when you're a manager like that at a club like Manchester United, and when you give him a new contract, as Ed Woodward did, you then deserve backing. I'm not saying that Ole doesn't deserve backing, but Jose has the proven track record as well. But any manager with a contract deserves that, and he didn't really get that. Whether or not it was right to sack him, I think actually at the time I was massively upset, and I backed him right to the end, as a Mourinho fan, and really just wanted him to succeed at Manchester United. And I'd always had that feeling that as soon as he leaves here and goes to another club, he's going to do well. And I think we're seeing that now at Spurs. But at the time, I think that the actual reason behind the sacking, you can sort of see why. The players were gone; they completely lost him, and that's whether that's his fault or the players' fault as sort of these mercenary figures. I'm not sure. You can sort of argue about that, but I think at the time it was actually right to sack him because I think the players had gone. But I think that all stemmed from the lack of backing from the Glazers, to be honest.
Well, looking in hindsight, then it's obvious that we sort of chose Pogba over Jose Mourinho, didn't we? I think that's fair to say towards the end. And looking back now with all the speculation regarding Pogba, do you think that was an incorrect decision?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It was a strange dynamic that was built up between the two, and not a very nice sort of split and divide that we had to witness there between Pogba and Jose. And obviously the clips came out, didn't they, of the little spats in training and things like that. But no, yeah, I get your point completely. Backing, I think any manager over a player is probably the way to go, unless it's very specific circumstances. But Pogba's annoyed me this season, if I'm honest. My stance has actually sort of changed on him. I used to be sort of very defensive of Pogba. And I used to say that, Pogba and Jose can coexist. And I actually think Pogba sort of had his best seasons at United under Jose. I don't think he's ever showed that consistency since under Ole that we saw in the first couple of seasons under Mourinho. But yeah, no, it's tough on that. But yeah, Pogba's annoyed me this season, to be honest. So yeah, looking back on it, I think, it would have been better to side with Jose on that one.
I can't say I disagree with you there at all. Now, Hennes, bringing us back around to the game, obviously, last weekend. Now, I know you like a rant and I know you like a moan, but, surely there was that performance has warranted a bit of praise from you, especially Bruno Fernandes. How do you think he played?
When there's praise to be had, I'll praise people for it. I mean, the performance was good. I was impressed. Obviously, I wasn't impressed with the goal that they scored because, again, I don't know. It's backing off and backing off and backing off. That's all it was happening. And Bernard is a shit player. I'm sorry, Bernard is shit. He's proven the last year he's terrible. So, and we allowed him to score. So that's embarrassing in its own right. But going forward, yeah, it warrants praise. Bruno was fantastic. I said the last couple of games he's been anonymous and kind of a bit, I don't know, he looks almost say a little bit childish at times with his reactions to losing the ball. And I want a player who, he always gives 100%, but he does have a bit of a kind of childish streak in him. But he was fantastic. I can't deny how good he was. Fred, again, probably level on par in terms of who could have been man of the match. So he was good. McTominay played well, although, again, it's fine. He's fine passing sideways and backwards, but when he tries to go forwards, it's comical. But yeah, some really good stuff in there, some really promising stuff. But I could not give less of a shit about the result if we don't back it up next time we play. I'll say the same thing as I've said. I'm not going out on a limb defending Ole because I'm not going to do that. because one performance does not make him a great manager. I'm saying that now. And people will say he's great, and then next week they'll say he's shit if we lose. So he's got to prove consistently that he's good enough to be at the top level. And for me, he hasn't done that yet. So he's got to back it up. They've got to back it up. We can't go and lose another game now, because as it stands, we're already on a kind of knife edge in terms of whether we're going to get top 4 or not. I think so, because other teams are picking up results. Every other team around us that we're with, is competing and doing well. Chelsea are doing well. I know City and Liverpool drew, which kind of goes in our favour a little bit. Liverpool, again, their defence is embarrassing. I don't know what Joe Gomez is doing half the time. He seems like he's sort of floating away. So they're there for the taking. If we play Liverpool, I think we will have a chance. But if we play West Brom, I don't back us. That's a weird thing. So we've got to sort it out, and it's got to be consistent results, because if that doesn't happen, then just straight up we won't get top 4 and we won't be challenging for any trophies.
Absolutely. I can't help but agree with you. Now, Henry, when this signing was announced, you were ecstatic on Twitter. I think it's fair to say you're definitely a part of the Cavani hive, and now he's off the mark in the Premier League. How well did he take his goal, and do you think he can really kick on from this?
Yeah, no, I think, obviously the first goal for any striker is absolutely massive. As Chilt Dogs put there, looks class. Wanted it for so long, as did I, mate. But yeah, no, I think, a striker getting his first goal at a club is obviously massive. But I don't think he sort of needed the confidence, really. I think even without a goal, as you've seen in the first few games, he can still come on. He sort of presses and tries his best, and he'll always score goals in the end. He knows how good he is. He doesn't need that extra confidence, I don't think. But it's always good to just get that first goal. He took it well. I thought Bruno did well. Sort of held the pass really well, picked the pass at the right time, and then Cavani sort of slotted it home as you'd expect a sort of a top world-class finisher to do, which I think he is, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's a big goal. I really hope he can kick on. To be honest, I'd start him against West Brom. I think Martial's performances, you can debate all you like about the hold up and link up and whatever else, but if you're not sort of scoring goals, you can't really stay there. If I'm honest, we're not playing Martial as a sort of false 9. I hope those comparisons won't be made to sort of the Firmino of old, not the current Firmino, who's just crap in general, but the old Firmino who actually used to link up play. But yeah, no, I'd start Cavani against West Brom. Big first goal for him. And yeah, no, I'm just happy we've got him at the club. I think it's such a clever signing from the club. And I know people wanted to argue and say it was a panic signing, especially giving him the 7 shirt and stuff like that. But I actually think it's a really smart bit of business. And I hope and I think he will be able to kick on and get a good fair amount of goals this season.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully. Now, speaking of number 7s and potential new signings, we've got this comment which can spark a whole new conversation. He's saying Cristiano is coming back home. Now, Henners, I'll come to you first. This rumour from out of nowhere seems to be gathering a little bit of pace. Nothing's been set in stone yet, but I'm seeing it a lot everywhere. Now, how would you feel about Ronaldo coming home?
Well, I won't believe it until Fabrizio tweets it. Simple as that. It's not happening. Certainly, I don't think at the moment. I mean, it makes too much sense, surely, doesn't it? A signing like that makes way too much sense. If Ronaldo, if Ronaldo does come back, it would be fantastic. But if he does come back, you shut off the avenue of having Sancho. I think you completely shut off that purely because of wages. They'll be too expensive. He'll want over 500k a week, and that is a lot of money. So some players will have to go. I know people are saying Pogba out, Ronaldo in. We'll see what happens. I don't understand. I don't understand why Ronaldo would. I know he want to come back for sentiment, fair enough, but other reasons I can't really think of any. He wants to come back to a side that's going to be winning titles, and at the moment we don't look like we're going to get mid-table. So it's got to be the right circumstances, and I would be delighted if he came back because he's still one of the best players in the world, if not the best at the moment. He comes back from coronavirus and gets 2 goals in his first game. You can't argue with that. So I mean, we'll see what happens, but at the end of the day, I'm not holding my breath saying that we're going to go and get him, because rumours are rumours, and if it's anyone else but a reliable source that all of us, not just me, trust, then then we'll see what happens. But I'm not going to say it's going to happen because I don't see it at the moment. I just don't see it.
Fair enough. It is definitely one of those ones that just feel like it's a rumour being started to get your hopes up a little bit, and it seems to happen every year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it. Well, one thing I did want to talk about with you, Henry, is Maguire against Everton seemed to have a really brilliant game, one that he definitely needed. Now, how well do you think he played, and do you think he can sort of kick on from this performance?
I mean, hopefully, yeah. I mean, that's the Maguire of old, and the Maguire that I was excited about signing. Just an absolute monster in the air. Letting nothing past him. The absolute brick wall. Solid on the ball when he had it as well. It was just a really assured performance from him, and that's just more of what I want to see from him. I'm sort of bored of this more erratic, sort of getting caught out of position, a little bit sloppy, and actually, a bit wayward with his headers as well, and things like that. I know there's been a lot of talk about sort of him in the air with sort of an aerial ability, but an inability to actually direct the ball with his head. But he looked really good in the air, especially I thought actually against Everton, heading away crosses, etc. And I really hope he can kick on. I really do. Obviously not been the best start to a season for him. It's been pretty poor by all standards. I thought last season he was okay. I thought people perhaps said that he was a little bit better than I actually think he sort of was over the course of last season. Obviously had a tough start, over the summer as well with the incident in Mykonos and whatever. But you'd hope now that he can kick on. But players do have isolated good performances. But we can hope that isn't the case for Maguire. And as you say, that he can kick on. But yeah, no, it was a really, really good performance from Maguire against Everton on Saturday rather. Definitely. Now, before we move on, everyone let us know in the comments who your man of the match was against Everton. Henry, who are you going for as your man of the match? Man of the match. It's got to be Bruno, I think, really, isn't it? Just sort of drove the team forward. 2 goals and an assist as well for Cavani. Got to be Bruno for me.
Hannes, same question.
I said it's out of 2 for me. I genuinely couldn't pick out of 2. It's either Fred or Bruno because they were both. I mean, Fred was the best performance I've seen. I backed him when he came in, and then he turned into some sort of donkey for the last year. So, but he performed really well. So, one of the 2, I genuinely couldn't pick.
Definitely. I think Fred was sublime, but I think the contributions that Bruno had in terms of goals and assists was just. Yeah. You can't look past it, can you? I'm going to go for Bruno. So yeah, let us know in the comments who your man of the match was, and we'll move on to what is technically team of the season so far. We didn't have anything United related to talk about really, given the international break. So we thought, what better time to sort of reflect on the season so far. So I've tasked the 2 Henrys with telling me their top 10 players of the season so far, and we're just going to discuss them. So Hennes, I'll come to you first. Do you want to whittle through your top 10?
So do you want a team or do you want just the top 10 players that I think have been the best? Do you want back to front, like goalkeeper and up to striker? It's up to you. Whichever
you've sort of prepared for. I'm not fussed.
Okay, so I'll go from, why not go for an 11? That's what I think. Why not go for that? So in terms of goalkeepers, definitely not Pickford. definitely not De Gea. I'm just going to list some people that have made absolute cock ups so far. It's funny. I think up there, and this is a bold claim, I think Alex McCarthy's got to be up there, isn't he? In terms of the quality that I've seen so far from Southampton and from him as well, he's kept him in games at times. So, and the level they've kind of hit. So you know what, I'm going to go for him. Why not? And then in terms of centre halves, I think you look no further than Spurs, to be fair. Alderweireld has been fantastic. He always is. So he's got to be one of them for me. And then, you know what? Ruben Dias. Been quality since he's come in for City. I haven't seen any mistakes from him. A lot of pressure for a player coming in. So, yeah, why not? Left back, Luka Dean, I reckon. It's got to be, again, the quality that he's got on the ball. And the quality he's shown so far this season. I'll tell you what, if I do the back 4 and then if you want to do the front line, I'm just thinking, why not? And then, right back, that's a tough one actually, because Kyle Walker, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. that guy is a complete utter donkey sometimes when he gets it. He can't defend. He kind of trips over his own feet when he's trying to defend. And we saw the penalty he gave away against Liverpool. He's definitely not going to be him. I've got, you know what? I know he's injured now, but I think Trent's been fantastic this season. You can't look any further than Liverpool's fullbacks there. They're good, but Trent's been the better out of the two, I'd say. So yeah, that's my back line.
Just out of curiosity, what formation are we going for?
Why not go for 4-2-3-1? It's the easiest one, isn't it? I guess
4-2-3-1. Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Henry, do you want to take the midfield?
Yeah, it's a tough one actually. Midfield, it's a tough one. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what. I'll give you my front line first. Well, and I'll try and little think about the midfield because I think the midfield is actually quite tough. But so we're going for a 4-2-3-1. So the main man up front, I think, has got to be Harry Kane for me. I don't think there's much argument around that. You know, massive amount of goal contributions, goals and assists. Mourinho's found a way for him and Heung-min Son, who's another player I'm about to put in the team as well. But he's found a way for them two to work together and do really well. That's something that sort of Maurizio Pochettino seemed to struggle with a little bit. It was always when Kane got injured, Son seemed to flourish, and then sort of Kane used to flourish when he was fit. But yeah, Kane's just been fantastic for me. The best striker in the world. If we're not counting Ronaldo as a striker sort of anymore, I know he plays sort of as an inside left forward, if you like.
Lewandowski.
No, I think Kane's better than Lewandowski. I know, and I know that might be an unpopular opinion, funny enough. But I don't know. I think Kane's got more to him than Lewandowski. Well, I do respect Lewandowski, though. I think he's probably second behind Kane. But yeah, I'm going to put Kane up top. Out on the left, I think, as I say, the man I've just mentioned, Heung-min Son. As I say, what him and Kane have formed a sort of formidable partnership, working really well together. He's got good numbers as well. I think he's actually top. I think he's top scorer right now, isn't he? I think I'm right in saying that. So yeah, Heung-min Son, and then at the 10 role, I think Bruno. Perhaps a bit biased just because I absolutely love the man, but massive impact on United, driving us forward. Done fantastically well, sort of kicking on from last season as well, just producing magnificent numbers and sort of this leadership and being this man to sort of drive United forward through tough times. So I think, I think Bruno's got to be number 10. And then out on the right, I'd probably say, I think probably James Rodriguez. He's done really well at Everton. I think I've always sort of said that he probably still had something left in him. He was never a player that sort of relied on pace, and even getting older now, his technical ability, I think, was always going to shine through. And I think giving him time at Everton, sort of, and being this sort of their main man has sort of really helped him. And he's done really well in that role. So I'd go for that. And I'll tell you what, I'll open up the floor for the midfielders because I'm lost on that one.
Henry, any suggestions on the midfielders?
I'm trying to think, and there's to be fair, there's not many at the moment. Not many defensive midfielders are actually doing a good job. I mean, Alan's got to be in there, surely. I mean, the guy, the first, I know they've fallen off a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but the guy's consistently good, especially on the ball. I rate him really highly, and I think that he's he's fantastic. You know what? Another one I would go for, and this is again a bold claim: Oriol Romeu. Why not? Fantastic for Southampton so far. He's been absolutely immense. He's the one that can break up the play, but yet, I mean, he almost scored a worldie at the weekend, didn't he? So he's another player who I think is massively underrated. And with how good Southampton are playing, I don't think you can really look past him in terms of quality.
Fair enough. He is also an arsehole because he nearly broke Greenwood's leg, but we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
So I've got this lineup then. So we've got McCarthy in goal, Alderweireld, Trent, Diaz. It was Alderweireld and Diaz, wasn't it? Your centre backs.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, Digne left back, centre midfielder Allen and Romeu, and then Rodriguez, Bruno, Son, and Kane. Is that okay with you two?
You could argue Reece James right back, but again,
I was going to say Ben Chilwell left back as well. Actually, I think Chilwell's been excellent this season. To be fair, as well. No, Digne has as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to debate that one, but I think I think Chilwell's in with a shout.
Yeah,
I agree with you there, Henry. Now, I'd change a couple of things. Now, I'll bring up John's comment because I completely agree with it. Now, Thiago Silva is has got to be in there for me. I think the impact he's had on that Chelsea defence is just
the only reason why I didn't put
unreal.
him in, that West Brom game. Oh my word! Didn't he get turned inside out by Callum Robinson?
He got the ball, didn't he? And
I didn't put him in. That was his first game, I know, but he has been. He's been good. He's
so I'd have him in. I think James Ward-Prowse has got to get a look in somewhere. I think he's been immense for Southampton. Son and Kane, I can't disagree with. I think Son possibly is slightly contentious. He's a lot of his goals came in one game, and he's not got that many assists to his name. But credit where it's due. He has been incredible so far this season. I think Grealish deserves to go in over Bruno personally.
As a bench player, I know we're not doing a bench, and that's fine. But surely Ollie Watkins, surely,
yeah,
he'll be in the top 6 side within the next, I don't know, 2 years. I reckon he is that good in my opinion. I reckon I could see him at someone maybe even someone like Arsenal, But he is, in my opinion, he is that good. He's already scored 6 goals this season. And for a player that came from the Championship, that's not half bad.
Fair enough. I think you got to also give honourable mentions to Jamie Vardy, Calvert-Lewin as well. They've had incredible starts to the season. But one sort of left field shout I'd have for the centre midfielders is Yuri Tielemans as one of them. Now he plays more of a holding role than anything. He's already got 3 goals in the 8 games so far, and he's gone sort of under the radar, and as one of the reasons why Leicester are top of the table. So that's another sort of choice I'd put in there. Into the heart.
Mendy's been fantastic as well. I can't, one player again. He's another player like Romeu, who I think is overlooked so much with the work he does for Leicester in midfield. I mean, they managed to nullify Leeds, who are playing before obviously the Palace game. They were playing quite well. So Nampaj Mendy has got to be in and around there, and Kieran Tierney for that fucking stumble, man. I've got to put him. What a trip, man! Jesus, the guy looked like he's seen a ghost.
But yeah, any other honourable mentions you want to talk about?
I think you've hit the nail on the head with all of them. To be honest, maybe Salah thrown in there. I know Liverpool haven't been great this season, but Salah's he's the main man for a minute, really. I know there was a big debate over who's sort of better out of the two, Mane and Salah. For me, it's just Salah. I think he's just been absolutely fantastic. So I'd throw Salah in the mix, but I wouldn't put him near that starting 11.
See, I think as well, a shout for the centre back has got to be Vestergaard from Southampton. I think he's been sublime this season, along with McCarthy. Obviously, their defence has really held up well. So in the comments, if you're watching, let us know your suggestions and what you changed from our team, and we'll move on. Now, obviously, being such a big part of football Twitter, Emery, you'll know all about unpopular opinions. So we wanted to bring in a little segment to the show of unpopular opinions where you've just got to back your case. So Henners, I'll come to you first. What's your unpopular opinion? You've got to convince us.
It will be unpopular with some Scousers, but probably not with a lot of other people. Joe Gomez shouldn't be anywhere near the England team. That's my unpopular opinion. He shouldn't be anywhere near the England team. A very, very average defender who's been shown up on numerous occasions. I mean, he was 20 yards out of position against City, and one of the opportunities got done by Gabriel Jesus as well for the goal. I know it's a bit of a fluke one, but again, I don't think he should be anywhere near the England side. I don't think he's good enough. I think that he gets caught out on too many occasions and always gets kind of let off for it by everyone because he's obviously English. People seem to they don't seem to realise how much of an average poor player he is. I watched him in that Villa game where they lost 7-2, and he was absolutely horrendous. And he was only made to look like shit because the rest of the team played shit. So, I don't think he should be anywhere near the England side, and I don't rate him at all personally.
That's fair enough, Henry. What are you thinking to that? What's your opinions on that?
I completely agree. To be fair, it's hard to argue with it really. Whether or not you should be you say nowhere near the England team, maybe perhaps a little strong use of words considering the sort of centre back options, perhaps. But yeah, no, I agree. I think he's really overrated, and I've said it before on Twitter. Yeah, I find it hard to disagree with you there. I think obviously you put a centre half alongside Virgil van Dijk. I mean, you could put Victor Lindelof alongside Virgil van Dijk, and I struggle to believe that he do sort of a worse job than Gomez has been doing, to be honest. But yeah, perhaps that's too much of a narrow-minded way of thinking. But yeah, I'm with Henry on this one.
You put like Tom Davies next to Van Dijk, and he would look good. Seriously,
could you put Harry Maguire next to Van Dijk and make him look good though? That's the question.
Well, I mean, that's a story. Altogether a different story. I mean, in terms of pace, you're not looking fantastic there, are you?
No,
not at all.
No, but anyway.
Well, I'll make things interesting then. I'll slightly battle you because I'm fairly agreeing with what you say, but I think he doesn't get the credit he sort of deserves because he is a part of that Liverpool defence, which last season were at times incredible. You know, Alisson nearly won the Golden Glove despite missing like 3 months of the season. I think he deserves some recognition because one player can't carry 3 other players in at this standard of football. So I think the fact that he's part of this Liverpool defence means he's constantly under a microscope as well. So he is still young as well, so he's got time to improve. But I will happily agree with you in the fact that there is a mistake in him every game, and there are things that he does that are very questionable.
I always say if you have Joe Gomez and Alexander Arnold as a right back and centre back next to each other, then you're in big trouble because those two defensively, Alexander Arnold defensively, I mean, wow, sometimes just absolutely wow, and if you've got those two next to each other, it's comical at times. So, and I know people will disagree with it, and I'm absolutely fine with that, but I think the people that would disagree with it most would just be Scousers because they can't accept that they've got a very average centre half.
But then just building on your point there then, so Trent and Joe Gomez obviously played about 70 minutes together in the City game before Trent came off, and they only conceded 1 goal in a defence where a big part of it was obviously missing. You got Matip coming in who's no comparison to Van Dijk. So, you say it's a nightmare, and I can't disagree with you because they're both defensively suspect, but somehow they constantly get the job done, don't they?
Yeah, but no one was kind of attacking down that side very much. It was, I know, and when Sterling started running direct at either one of them, it was like panic station straight away. So, yeah, they got done a couple of times. I remember one time when even Jamie Carragher was criticising Gomez. He was saying, "What is he doing?" He was like 20 yards out of position trying to play the offside trap. Or what? It just completely baffles me. And and then it's him and Maguire. When Maguire's had a bit of a shitter for the last, obviously last game fantastic, but before that, it was him and Maguire as a centre back partnership. And you're thinking, what? Or in a 3 with Kyle Walker. The only person in that England defence that fills me with confidence now is Conor Cody. Seriously, the only player that I think is a good defender in that back line at the moment consistently is Conor Cody.
So if we're sticking with Southgate's 3 at the back mould that he likes to use, who are your 3 centre backs that you're going with for England?
Oh God, that's tough. Because Henry's right, there's fuck all options. There's absolutely nothing there that you can kind of go with. Conor Cody has to be in there. I mean, for starters, I wouldn't have Pickford as goalkeeper because that guy just, Jesus Christ, it's once
just to interrupt. Did you see Southgate's comments the other day saying that none of the other keepers are anywhere near close to dislodging him? Now that is depressing.
Waistcoat knobhead can shove it because he has no idea what he's doing. He was clueless in the previous game. I know Maguire got sent off, but he was completely clueless in that game, and he's proven it over the last few weeks. We scraped to win against Iceland because they missed a penalty. It's been embarrassing the last few games, and then he's saying, "Oh, Jack Grealish got to perform more consistently." He's the most consistent player in that squad at the moment, so. This guy has agendas and agendas. Someone's got his nude photos and is threatening to leak them, and he has to start the players who have got them. Simple as that. So it is literally agenda FC that, and it's embarrassing. I'm fed up of seeing this this bullshit England team put out every week. You know, I'm glad Nick Pope's starting against Republic of Ireland, but he'll start bloody Pickford against Belgium, and that's the most important game we've got. You watch Pickford try and jump against Lukaku. Oh no, he's injured, isn't he? So try and handle a De Bruyne shot, something as basic as that. We saw him, you know, again, he kicked Maguire in the chest and got away without, you know, giving away a penalty. He's got a mistake in him every game, and I don't know why. You know, Dean Henderson's better than him. Nick Pope, in my opinion, better than him. But yeah, I'm fed up of, you know, watching England is actually quite painful at times at the moment. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll move on to Henry's then. Just if you're watching, then drop your unpopular opinions in the comments, and we'll discuss them. I suppose. Yeah, it'd be good to hear from the viewers. Now, Henry, I'll come to you. What's your opinion? What's your unpopular opinion and why?
Yeah, I don't know. It is quite hard, to be fair. You think it sounds easy to think of something sort of an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like, or not anymore. To be honest, I used to be a lot more abrasive than I am now. Sort of the like strong, sweeping statements, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to go with this one, and I'm sure people have a lot to say about it. And actually, I remember when I actually put this tweet out at the time when I first sort of said it. Sport Bible wrote an entire article on it, shocked at the state of it. And it is that I think David De Gea in his prime is the best goalkeeper of all time, and that sounds absolutely bonkers, I'm aware, to some people. But I think, you know, the sheer amount of games that De Gea dragged us through over that sort of a 6-year period, I'd sort of say, going from sort of 2013 up until sort of 2019. I mean, even, you know, we saw that in 2019, the performance sort of at Wembley under Ollie against Spurs, which was just absolutely ridiculous goalkeeping performance. Some of the performances I've seen him put in over the years, I've never seen anything like it from a goalkeeper before. Like, it's just phenomenal. Arsenal away as well under Jose, ridiculous performance. Everton at home under Louis van Gaal, and, you know, just countless saves that in games that you can refer back to where he's just been absolutely magnificent. Even at the end of, you know, the City, I think it was the City 3-2 when he made a magnificent save. I think it was a Aguero header. But I genuinely think, you know, I struggle to see a goalkeeper just performing to that standard over that number of years. And I'm aware people will conjure up the usual names such as sort of Iker Casillas and whoever else, maybe Victor Valdez, or, you know, I'm sure there's, you know, Lev Yashin and old sort of goalkeepers like that. But I think that the back line De Gea had in front of him was awful as well. And you can argue that perhaps benefited him in that he was sort of facing more shots. And John Gray's put in the comments there, Czech concedes 15 goals in one season, De Gea is best ever. I completely take your point, but I think that Jose Mourinho system is credit to the 15 goals, if I'm honest. You know, Jose set up a very compact and magnificently well-versed defensive side. So I don't think you can put that down to solely Petr Cech. I know that's critical because now I'm sort of saying that I'm putting our sort of defensive capabilities down to De Gea. But I think there are many performances over the years, and a couple that I referenced that you can look to and sort of say that those are some of the best goalkeeping performances, you know, ever. And I know it may sound ridiculous to people, but I'll stand by that one.
Now, Hennes, sorry, I was able to watch you through that little speech, and you had your hands in your head for most of it. So, do you want to just sort of elaborate on what you're thinking?
As a goalkeeper myself, growing up watching different clips of different people, there are so many keepers that I could argue were level on par, if not levels above. And I know you mentioned Lev Yashin, you know, an idol of mine, fantastic keeper. I know I wasn't alive to watch him, but fantastic keeper. You know, Gordon Banks, Peter Shilton, Oliver Kahn. How can you... and Peter Schmeichel as well. I mean, you've got keepers like that who are just... For me, it's... You know, Yashin was way up there. Gordon Banks was unbelievable as well. I remember my dad speaking to me. Obviously, he watched, you know, Football United when, you know, Peter Schmeichel was there as well. And some of the stuff that these guys could do was unbelievable. And I know you say, you know, De Gea carried us through a lot of games, and you're completely right when you say that. But these guys were playing under more difficult circumstances, if you understand what I mean. You know, they weren't coached as much, and they were still at the same level, the same quality. You know, they could drink 5 pints before a game and would still be at the same level. So I think if they were playing now with the qualities they had and the amount of facilities and stuff you've got available, I mean, yeah, I can't. Sadly, I can't agree with that. I really can't, because I've seen so many different clips of so many quality keepers and pulling off some unbelievable, not just saves, but communication. And I think that, I know you say in his prime he was his best, but these guys were consistently fantastic throughout their whole career. And De Gea's had kind of spells where we thought, this guy is causing us more problems than he's sorting. So, yeah, I can't really say much else other than that.
Well, I'll build on both your points then, because I think credit to Henry. I think the 17-18 season, you know, where we came second, I think that is possibly the best individual season a keeper has had in history. I think that's where I'll agree with Henry, because the standard in front of him was woeful. He still was up there in terms of clean sheets. He was very close to winning the Golden Glove, and he was the reason we finished the highest finish since Fergie retired. So I'll give him that. He was incredible that season, but I think just his complete lack of longevity is going against him. I think, yes, he has been world class for a few seasons, but you know, you look at Edwin van der Sar, he was still world class at 39 years old in his last season. He was still an incredible keeper, and you know, I think he gets completely unrecognised. You know, he's still got the record for the most amount of games without conceding a goal. You know, 14 clean sheets in a row he kept. That doesn't get talked about enough. And like Henry said, there's a lot of names out there that have given that longevity, whereas De Gea already looks past his peak, and I don't even think he's 30 yet. Whereas, you know, you look at the great keepers in history. You know, Iker Casillas was still Real Madrid's number one at age sort of 35. You know, I think Keylor Navas now, it's a bit of an off-field shout, but he was with Real Madrid when they won the Champions Leagues. I think he was a big part of that team, and he's still going at the age of sort of 34, 35. He's still playing well for PSG. So I think there is a possible shout there if he picks up his form and rediscovers his best and then keeps it going for another 5 years. Then he could possibly be considered as the best of all time, because the ability is definitely there. I think without a doubt he's got the potential to be. You know, some of the saves he makes, no goalkeeper in history could make them. That's the sort of levels we're talking about. So, you know, I'll sort of agree and disagree with you there, Henry, but. Moving on, we have got an unpopular opinion in the comments, which is that Harry Maguire is our worst centre-back. Now, I'll kick things off by saying no. Now, Headers, what do you think?
Well, for a long period of time, it's not been unpopular with me at all. That opinion is living rent-free in my head for quite a lot of time. So, yeah, I mean, I've said it before. When he's bad, he's like painful to watch. He's like, you want to like pour bleach in your eyes, like bad. But when he's good, he's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, there is a shout at times, but I think that the biggest problem is if we would have bought him for like 25, 30 million, everyone would be saying, okay, you know, fair enough. But we paid 80 million for this guy, and at times, you know, you see him, you know, the England game, for example, when he got sent off. He made one challenge on the halfway line. You're thinking, what the fuck are you doing up there? What? It was in the other team's half. What are you doing? It's brainless, and God, it's just like he has some sort of fit and like brain spasm when he just goes in for stupid shit he doesn't need to do. He reminds me of Eric Bailly at times. So yeah, I mean, that's not an unpopular opinion with me. I think at times, yeah, but. I don't know. We'll see.
Emery, what do you think?
I mean, it hasn't been great this season, and as I say, last season, I think, you know, he's perhaps a bit overhyped, but I still wouldn't go with that. I really wouldn't go with that. I mean, you can probably still argue he's actually our best, and Headers might not like me saying that, but it's sort of, you look at the centre backs there, and I'm aware, you know, you can argue against Maguire all you want, and you know, I take points on that because, as I say, he hasn't been great, but. Axel Tuanzebe's hardly played any games. I think saying that Axel Tuanzebe's a better footballer than Harry Maguire already, I think that seems a bit naive. Victor Lindelof, you know, he's massively inconsistent as well. Although, you know, as is Maguire, to be fair. So that's an argument maybe to be had. Who's our best centre half? Maybe between those two. Eric Bailly's injured all the time. Hard to even consider him as a Manchester United player at this point. But no, I disagree with that. I definitely don't think he's actually our worst centre back.
I think I've got to agree with you there, Henry. I think on his day he is our best. You know, in terms of pure defensive ability, he's our best centre back. That's as far as it goes. He's a victim of his own sort of pace and lack of agility, which can get caught out. But he's the best of a bad bunch, isn't he? You know, Lindelof can be good, but he's very exploited aerially. You know, sometimes he struggles to sort his feet out as well. Tuanzebe looks like he could be our best, but you can't base that off one game against PSG, can you? You know, he was on the field when Istanbul scored both their goals, so you can't really get that much credit. You know, there's obviously Phil Jones and Marcus Rojo, but they don't even play for us anymore. And then, like you say, Eric Bailly is always injured, so he can't really even be considered for the accolades. So I'll disagree with you. Obviously, Hennes agrees with you, but you know, thank you for your comment regardless. Now, John's given us one here.
Sorry, isn't Maguire like one of the only players to be relegated twice in the season?
Possibly.
He got relegated whilst on loan at someone, and then his parent club got relegated too.
Fair enough. It just shows you the state of our defence more than anything, doesn't it? But you know, we'll bring this comment up from John because I think this is a really good opinion because you know I agree with it personally. I don't even think it's unpopular really. I think it's a fairly popular opinion. Now, anyone disagree with this at all?
Worst manager in the top 15.
I disagree with it.
Would
disagree.
You?
Yeah, I think people won't like Arsenal fans won't like me at all. They really won't, and I'm aware he's won a trophy, and they'll hang off that for years and years to come when talking about Mikel Arteta. But I'd say that Ole's a better manager than him. I mean, they finished 8th last season. I'm aware, you know, I'd rather win a trophy than get top 4, to be honest, especially, you know, considering that when we go into the Champions League, we're aware there's not much of a chance that we're going to get anywhere in there. And winning the trophy is a fantastic feeling, and credit where it's due, Arteta did well to get that silver under his belt so early. But as I say, they finished 8th last season. You know, there's way too much credit being given to this man, and I think it's to do with his association with Pep Guardiola, a man who the sort of media like to fawn over, and sort of he's just like this attractive prospect, I think, for the media to sort of to look at and give respect to. And I think Ole, you know, finishing 3rd last season was an absolutely massive achievement. It really was, and I know we sort of aware we bottled in the sort of semi-finals of 3 different cup competitions, and obviously that's not good enough at a club like Manchester United, and obviously Arsenal went sort of 1 or 2 better in going and actually winning the trophy. But no, I'd say Ole's definitely better than Arteta. I think there's perhaps an argument to be had that Ole's actually a better manager than Frank Lampard as well. I mean, Lampard did excellently with the resources he had last season. Obviously, the transfer ban limited him massively. He was sort of working with a young squad that had mostly sort of been out on loan in the Championship the season before. Obviously, losing Eden Hazard and I think he did well under those conditions. But this season, you know, you want to see a bit more from him. There's been a lot of money spent, and Abramovich won't hang around with Lampard either. He will not be afraid, as we've seen over the years, to pull the trigger if things don't massively improve. But I disagree with that. I'd say he's fourth or fifth, depending on how you look at it.
Fair enough. I will, because I forgot that Arsenal were even a top 16 for a minute. So I will back your point that Mikel Arteta is a bit of a fraud. He's getting way too much credit for what he deserves. You know, he's not even an Arsenal legend. He's an Everton legend.
Yeah.
He played for Arsenal for 2 or 3 years at the end of his career. Like, leave it out. But yeah, Lampard, I'm holding my judgment for him because he did incredibly last season. So under very difficult circumstances as well. So he deserves a lot of credit, and you can't really judge him on that because none of the other managers have been in that situation, have they? Really? So Lampard, I'll leave out. But yeah, Ole or Arteta is close. So I'll say Ole's actually shown signs that he can adapt to a game and change tactically. I haven't seen anything like that from Arteta yet. So I'll say Ole has the edge so far. And he's also not, Arteta's not given us 2 magical nights in Paris, has he? So, you know, that's really his problem. So yeah, I'll say he's the 5th best manager in the top 6 at the minute. But yeah, moving on, I'll give my unpopular opinion, and I think that football should be a summer sport. I think from a spectator point of view, it makes sense. From a player point of view, it makes sense. Now, I think the season should run, say, March to October, maybe November, whatever time period you need, but make the majority of the sport in summer. If you need to, have a gap in the middle for international tournaments, and then you can just start the season 2 weeks earlier, end the season 2 weeks later as well, and then you've got that 4-week period in there. It's just better for everyone, I think. Football players don't want to be playing around Christmas and New Year, so they're missing out on a lot of family time. No football player in their right mind wants to play football on Boxing Day or New Year's Day. No football fans want to really be going and sitting in the absolutely freezing cold. I think if you asked any of them, they'd much rather go and watch football in summer. That's what's so great about the World Cup. You can sit out in the street and watch football at stadiums. You're much more comfortable. And I think if there's a way of getting it to work logistically, I think football should definitely be a summer sport. Any opinions on that?
No, definitely. I simply just can't agree with that, man. And that's purely because I like football going throughout Christmas because if your family if your family are all pissing you off, you can just go and watch a game. So I think it's fantastic. That's one of the reasons. I can understand the grassroots argument. I completely understand that, and I understand it's a busy schedule towards the end of the year. But then you've got, and I know James hates other sports because he's so well-rounded. So I think you've got, you have cricket, which international T20 or whatever you like that. I think that's fantastic as well. You've got things like Wimbledon as well. You've got other sports to kind of focus on throughout the summer. So the sports that can't be played simply cannot be played in winter and spring. So I think I prefer it as is now because it's nice to have a break and be able to enjoy the sunshine in the summer rather than sitting in and watching football or watching it, a pub or whatever. I think it's fantastic to do that towards the end of the summer and towards the start of the summer. But I think it's fantastic to be able to just go outside and enjoy the world. And rather than if you go on holiday, then you have to plan it around what games you're going to watch, I guess, at times. So I prefer not having to do that. And I think that at the moment, I think it would change everything. I think the World Cup in Qatar is going to change everything as it is anyway. I think things might change after that, but I'm happy with it now. But I can understand the grassroots argument. I really can understand that. And it does get a bit hectic after that. But I can't agree with that. I just can't.
Henry, anything to add?
As you say, the grassroots argument's really valid. Lots of games get called off, and obviously the pitches can't really handle the weather at times. But in terms of top level football, I've got to say I'm with Henry on this one. I like the way it is currently. You get a good mixture of conditions. That's part of the game. That's part of football. You get games in, as I say, in different weathers. You obviously get games where it's raining. You sometimes get the snow in the December time. As you say, I think it's nice to have the football sort of running over Christmas and New Year, part of sort of tradition now, part of sort of ingrained in the sport. And you say footballers don't want to play on Boxing Day or New Year's Day. I think some of them probably do. I don't know. I think you're perhaps not doing credit for this modern generation of footballers, perhaps abiding by the stereotype that they all perhaps don't want to be there. But it's part of the game, it's part of the sport, and I think you've got a football running throughout winter. I think it's just sort of part of the game.
Sorry, fair enough. I can't argue with that. I think let us know in the comments what you think of my opinion. But yeah, mine was more from a spectator point of view. I'd much rather go and sit in the stands in 20+ degree weather than I would in -5 conditions. But yeah, that's about it. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll move on to something that Henna's specifically asked me to add to the schedule. I think it's something that you've been getting more and more annoyed at every week. Now it's criticism on Paul Pogba, but you wanted it specifically from Jamie Carragher, so I'll let you take the floor.
He's just joined the bandwagon. That's all I can say. He's such a knob. Jamie Carragher. He can't help himself, can he? He's just joined his little buddy Graham Souness in criticising Pogba yet again. I don't understand his agenda. He's changed from kind of not talking about him now to he can't shut up about him. So either he's got nothing to talk about or he's just a bit thick. I can't be arsed with these. It is an agenda, and I know he will say anything about any other player from any team, but he won't focus on Liverpool. He won't focus on Liverpool and the fact they paid 60 million for a player who played 18 games in the Premier League last year. 18 games. He's made 4 appearances this year. Naby Keita is the flop of the century at the moment. So, yeah, he has an agenda against Paul Pogba, and I simply cannot stand it. It's doing my head in. It's getting increasingly more frustrating seeing more people jump on top of him. The reality is, yeah, fair enough, he's not doing fantastic at United this season, but he's a World Cup winner. He's won more than Jamie Carragher. You know, the biggest trophy you can win in your career is a World Cup, and Jamie Carragher didn't even get close. I've seen, we've all seen Jamie Carragher defend, and everyone else made him look quite good because, quite frankly, if he was on FIFA now, well, in his heyday, he'd be like 26 pace. He's that slow. He gets turned inside out by everyone else. I'm fed up of this stupid ass agenda that he has, and he's now going on TalkSport, and he's now making comments as, "Oh, United should sell Pogba." Yeah, you would say that. You would say we should get rid of one of our best players because you support Liverpool, you knob. So obviously, I quite frankly cannot stand him, and his, Graham Souness stopped, and then he probably said to Jamie Carragher, "You better carry this on, mate, because I'm getting a lot of stick for it. Now it's your turn." So I'm just quite frankly fed up of this. Yeah, this agenda. The only person that doesn't have an agenda that speaks a little bit of sense is Gary Neville. And I know I said a comment about Jamie Carragher's past. I'm not going to bring that up because I think it's a bit harsh what I said to James over private DM. But
everyone about how he spits on little girls.
Well, everyone knows that he had, this is a guy who's still in a job somehow. I don't know how he's still in the job. We saw the FA chairman get sacked for making comments. Obviously, they were terrible comments, and he rightfully got sacked. How didn't Jamie Carragher get sacked for spitting on a child? It is beyond me. It's beyond me. But anyway, that's another story. But I'm fed up with this bloody agenda that people have against Paul Pogba. He hasn't done anything wrong personally. All these stories coming out about, they've targeted Pogba before. Now the Daily Mail and the Sun and that lot of bloody knobs are targeting Greenwood now as well. They can't help themselves, and it's embarrassing. I'm fed up of seeing it. It's literally just one target after another, and then they'll go back to Pogba again and say how bad he is in the changing room and all this shit. Reality is no one's in the changing room but the United players, and they all seem to get on with him fine. So I don't understand this agenda. I'm just fed up of seeing it. It does my head in.
Fair enough. I think this season Pogba has warranted criticism, but I think the point you're trying to make is how sustained, there you go, it's been over his period in England. Now, Henry, do you have anything to sort of add to what Enes has said?
No, I think what you've just said, James, sort of puts the nail on the head, really. This season, as you say, has definitely warranted criticism. It was the Tottenham 6-1 game that sort of really pushed me over the edge and really frustrated me. That sort of the way he held himself and the attitude of that game, the performance he put in, obviously gave away the penalty against Arsenal as well, just sloppy, poor, lazy. And then after that, the aforementioned Spurs game, sort of talking about Real Madrid. Just, I know you can say, he's been asked questions, he's got to answer them, but still absolutely does my head in. I think you can just shirk those questions, stay away from them. But no, I completely take your point. The witch hunt of him has obviously been ridiculous. It's been going on for years since he came to England. A lot of the time under Mourinho, when he was actually performing really well, the media was constantly trying to conjure up these stories of sort of internal civil war between Pogba and Mourinho, which obviously there is proof of that, which came to fruition, but the media did try and stoke it up further. And obviously we all know about Graham Souness, sort of attitudes over the years. I can't say I've actually seen the Carragher comments yet. I'm pretty sure they came out yesterday, didn't they? I didn't see them. But as you say, yeah, no, this season I think he definitely warranted criticism, and I think there's a debate to be had whether or not we should be selling him. I think the only worry is sort of where that money would go. We know with the Glazers, when we sell a sort of a big player, the money doesn't seem to go back into transfers. Obviously, Lukaku fee, etc. There's other examples of transfers. You know, Ronaldo back in the day as well, sort of 80 million just sort of disappearing. What was it? Obertan, Michael Owen in Valencia, the window when we sold Ronaldo. So there is always that worry with Pogba. Who'd actually buy him is another question as well. You know, he's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong. There's always going to be suitors, but trying to agree a fee with them in this climate as well is Pogba's such a tough situation to deal with, really. But yeah, no, I think you both made good points there. The witch hunt, obviously, over the years has been poor.
The comments that he actually said, this is the exact quote that I retweeted and had a go at earlier. He said, "Would I pick him in the Manchester United team? No, I wouldn't. He's a huge name. He's come for a huge transfer fee, but I don't think he's a great player." Hold on a sec. No bad player performs like he did in the World Cup and wins the World Cup and scores in the final and I think he was one of the players touted for player of the tournament, obviously bar, Mbappe. So why on earth is this guy warranting so much criticism? He, as in the comments, they said he changed the game against PSG and had a fantastic game against Leipzig, and those two games are just forgotten straight away. Forgotten after he makes a mistake. Why can people not understand how good this player is? And I know we keep saying we need to build a team around him and stuff. I don't think we should sell him because I think after a year we'll regret it massively. I think it's a naive, stupid decision to get rid of him. He plays in certain roles, and then no one seems to criticize the manager as to where he's playing. Pogba played in a diamond, okay, against Leipzig and against PSG when he came on. He played in a diamond, fantastic. Ran the show against Leipzig, was absolutely fantastic. So why can't people understand that if he's played in the right position, you can use him to your advantage, and he can play fantastic. He's not a left winger. He played left wing when he came on against Arsenal. Or I can't remember whether he started or came on, but he played left wing. That's not fair. It's not his position. So all of this criticism, it's completely unwarranted. But the biggest issue for me is the fact that no one talks about that £60 million flop that Liverpool bought and has made. I think he's made 47 appearances in almost 3 years now. No one about him. He never starts. He's not good enough. So
fair enough. The thing I'd raise though is I think we've got to sell him this summer, because there's no way he's extending his contract at all, is there? That we've gone past that point now, and we can't let him leave on a free again this summer after. So I think either probably not this winter. I think it'd destabilise the team too much. But I think in the summer you've got to sell him and get some money for him. As good as a player as he is, and as much as I love him, I think it's probably overdue that we part ways with him he's been such an expensive player for us. I know that gets talked about a lot, and it frustrates a lot of United fans that players talk about his price. But you can't let someone go for free, buy them back for 90 million, and then let them go for free again in what should be considered his prime. He's 27 years old. In 2 years' time, he'll be 29. He's still in his prime. Then, if you let him go for free again, it'd be such a Glazers sort of decision to let him go for free. But yeah, I think I want to, unless anyone has anything to add on Pogba before I move on.
I just want to say this. I know it's been a shit time for the United fans watching how frustrating it is for Pogba, but I think he's probably more frustrated than we are. He's probably hating this more than we are, and that's purely because from what I've seen, and I don't know him personally, I'm sure he's a genuine guy, and he has been attacked for his personality. That is not on. It's not on. And I'm seeing pundits attacking him for his personality. After Jamie Carragher spat on that child, no one attacked him for his personality. And yet he's going out and started attacking players in the press. It's not fair. Show some humility. You're working for Sky, a big conglomerate that watched by everyone. Show a bit of class and a bit of respect. The reality is, he's saying he's not a great player. Well, Jamie Carragher wasn't a great player in my opinion. It doesn't mean that I should have to project that to 4 million people that watch Sky. So this agenda has done my head in, and I can promise you we are going to regret this when we sell him, because at the moment he probably wants out more than anyone else, because he's fed up of hearing this shit that he's not a good enough player. He'll go to Real Madrid, win Champions Leagues, or go to Juventus, win Champions Leagues, win league titles, and prove that he is better than all the players that we've got at the moment, because the reality is I think he is better than every single player we've got at the moment.
Fair enough. Now, I just wanted to add one last thing before we sort of ended. And speaking of media criticism, Mason Greenwood seems to be getting it just as bad as anyone at the minute. He's still very young. It's a crucial time in his career, and this media sort of shitstorm that's heading his way is probably the last thing he needs now. It's widely reported. It's not been confirmed yet, but it's widely reported that he's just lost one of his best friends to suicide as well. So
that's Whiston, isn't it? One of his Jeremy Whiston, the academy player, City academy player, took his own life.
Yeah, but I don't know how you two feel about it, but I think the way it's going, this could genuinely ruin this kid's career. He's not a player playing with confidence this year. I think that's fair to say. He's not hit the ground running like he did last year, and I think a lot of that is to do with media, like the media coverage of him. Now, Henry, I'll come to you. What do you sort of think on it?
It's a tough one, really, and obviously, if the rumours are true, and we know this young lad's taking his own life, this youth player, and if Greenwood was indeed a friend of his, obviously that's massively sad. Just to say, obviously it's such a cutthroat system. It's just the way football is, and it's so upsetting that the lack of sort of support and sort of well-being and help that players get once they've been dropped or released from a club. That's something that needs to be looked at for a start. On Greenwood, it's tough, really. I think I don't want to say this because it's almost been stoked up by the media, but I think Ollie's alluded to it as well. There's obviously a bit of a problem with Greenwood's attitude, and this is going back a long time. I remember months and months ago, it might have been even sort of over a year ago now, Greenwood's Ollie talking about Greenwood perhaps staying up too late, coming to training a bit tired. I remember this a while ago. I remember sort of something to do with the PlayStation. I think Ollie mentioned or something along those lines. There's obviously something there with Greenwood, a bit of an attitude. I don't want to stoke it up and overplay it, but an attitude problem. And obviously now the sort of the witch hunt has perhaps began with all this sort of other stuff. And you can only take it from Ollie, I think, and that's where I'm going with this. Really, is that I'm talking about comments from Ollie from a while back. It's hard now to believe the media as gospel. Obviously, you can never do that. As you two will know, as students of journalism as well, you can't take everything. You don't believe everything you read. And this hasn't come from, as I say, directly from Ollie or anything like that. This is something that's sort of been, I don't want to say manufactured because it might not be. At the same time, you don't want to completely dispel of it. But obviously, it's not nice. We've seen over the years so many young English talents getting hyped up and then sort of set up to fail. But obviously, there is something going on there. Hopefully, it gets nipped in the bud. That's all you can say as a United fan, really, is we don't want another Ravel Morrison. And hopefully, this doesn't get pushed too far and doesn't turn into a massive frenzy, because that's obviously what the lad doesn't want. I really hope that doesn't happen, because the raw talent he's got is absolutely phenomenal. And it would be a real shame if that went to waste.
Absolutely, that's my problem with it. I think he's got the ability to be, one of those generational talents that we talk about, but this media frenzy around him is, I think it could be his undoing. Really, what do you think about it, Headers?
I think it's a disgrace. I really do, and this now goes to the human side of journalists. All the prats that are reporting this. How would they feel if they were a teenager and people were reporting shit about them? I don't understand it. How can you write stuff and put it out to millions of people? I know it sells papers, but this is an 18-year-old kid or 19 or whatever he is now. He's a teenager. Why do people understand that and think that it's okay to attack people at that age? It's not fair. And then, I know Ollie maybe alluded to training stuff and him turning up late to training and attitude problems. I just think as a manager, you just leave that alone. You keep it in-house. You don't talk about it to anyone, because then it gives the reports absolutely no validity or credit. I think that's what you've got to do as a manager. And I'm not one myself, so maybe I can't speak for anyone else, but I'm fed up of seeing these witch hunts for players. He's just lost a good friend of his, another academy player, and I would hate to be in his situation now, where you've just lost one of your friends and then the media are starting to attack you. I think that anyone, I know all the journalists that are doing all these write-ups and stuff, they won't watch this, but stop attacking a kid. Seriously, it's embarrassing. It's inhumane. You shouldn't go for a young. I know he's England international and stuff, but Gareth Southgate made enough of an example of him during the whole Iceland thing. He made a mistake. He's a kid. It happens. He made a mistake. I've made mistakes like that, but obviously I'm not in the spotlight. But why do journalists feel that it's okay and that it's fair to attack players? Especially, this is personal to him. So I can't imagine what he's thinking at the moment. I imagine he's probably feeling like shit. And I've seen all these articles on him, and every kind of media company seems to jump on the bandwagon. Myself as a journalist, I'll never write something like that ever. Even if I'm told to, I'll just walk out, because I have a refusal to jump on a bandwagon and attack a teenager, because, as you guys rightly said, it could destroy his career. It really could. Same applied with Ian Evatt attacking that young keeper, telling him to man up. That, I know he went in the next game and saved the penalty, but afterwards his performances have been quite poor. So it can really destroy people, this. And I think people need to reach into their human side of things, rather than just, it's a piece of journalism, I've got to write it. They've got to reach into their human side, because it's just not right. You should not be writing stuff like that about a teenager. And as far as I'm concerned, it's none of anyone else's business what he does in his personal life. He can do what he wants. It's his life. Let him live it. And, all this stuff about Bruno having a go at him, all that, stop. They need to stop it. They need to stop doing that, because I can promise you, I can bet you that hasn't happened. Why on earth would a player that's come in last year scream at an 18-year-old, turning to buck his ideas up? It's beyond me. And if Bruno has done that after this, then shame on him. But I can't see that he's done that. So people need to leave him alone, and because if it destroys his career, everyone will blame Greenwood. If it destroys his career, the reality is the media have fucked him over, and the media in this country are worse than anywhere else. I'll say that now, because, and I know I said Spain and Italy maybe were on par at stuff, but after this, no chance. The media in this country are the worst in the world. They are shameless, embarrassing, racist. They attack people that they shouldn't attack, and I'm fed up of seeing these articles all over social media and the internet. I'm fed up of seeing it, because it just gives people, it's painful. I'm sure Greenwood goes on social media, and it is painful. He's just lost one of his friends, and you're attacking him. So, that's all I have to say on it.
Fair enough. We've got a couple of rants out of you today, back to normal. So thank you for that. But yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think it is disgraceful, but we'll just have to see how it goes. But on that sort of sad note, we'll end it there. Henry, massive thanks for joining us again. Been a brilliant guest. It's always brilliant talking to you.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for getting me on, lads, as usual. Really enjoyed it. Good fun. And
Hannes, as ever, thanks for joining me. If you haven't already, then be sure to like and subscribe, and drop a comment if you disagree with anything we've said. Love to have a conversation in the comments with you. But yeah, on that note, we'll see you next time.